responsibility and do it in a timely fashion.
Which we're doing in the response that Nathan has drafted here.
Mhm.
We're meeting what they've been asking. It's just that this piece of information was discovered. Way to go, Nathan. In the process, and Nathan just wanted to make sure that we're aware, of this, and,
Right.
that's why why it was kind of brought up as a discussion item, so that everyone's kind of
No, absolutely.
knows, so.
All right, so let's get everything submitted and we'll wait for the response.
Are you, Joyce, are you and Alan good with the draft letter, the draft version that Nathan has?
Yeah,
presented?
yeah, I was just started reading it. I
Yep.
finished it.
And the addition is this paperwork in the back, right?
The paperwork in the back was one specific addition. There was a couple other questions that they came back with, which are routine. That's where the question regarding the presence of a well came in. So, most of the stuff they were looking for was very basic, and it should all be covered in that. Some of it, honestly, we covered in the first submittal, and I don't know why they're asking for it again, but we're going to give it to them again.
Sometimes it's just a matter of representation, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And of course, he'll attach the financial responsibility letter that you signed.
Right, yep, I saw that included.
Yeah, so.
All right. I don't think there's any further action we need to take on that other than getting it submitted.
Do you need to vote on approvals to accept the draft or no? Or just go with it?
Just allow them, is there votes needed, or you just?
Well,
go ahead and submit? Just submit it.
Great.
Job, Nathan.
Thank you,
We're
Nathan.
we're on board with what
All
you're
right.
doing, Nathan.
All right, great. We'll get that paperwork in and we'll see what happens.
Okay,
Thank you.
very good. Well, thank you very much
Thank you.
for attending.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good evening.
You as well.
Thank you.
All right. So we're gonna go back up to 4A.
Or
All right, everyone. Agenda item 4A, Board of Health fee schedule review.
back in October, we were discussing the Board of Health fees increase. Prior board meetings, we discussed a fiscal year 2026, 25% increase. For the following fiscal year, 2027, a 15% increase, and the year after that, fiscal year 2028, a 10% increase. I presents the board the updated fees for the Board of Health for all 3 years, and just looking for a yay or nay or discussion on such.
So I think we kind of talked a little bit about this, Jack. The use of the term fiscal year versus calendar year.
Mhm.
And I think the plan was calendar year that we
Yeah,
agreed to.
correct.
Which means that, does this throw off what you are looking at in your alignment for how you're gonna do the billing? Because the calendar year wouldn't start until January.
Yeah, it should be calendar year 2026.
The fiscal year is gonna be July. So I know we talked about calendar year, but does that create confusion if we step out away from fiscal year from what you do, Jack, from a billing perspective and how you track things?
No, all the permits from the Board of Health perspective is done by January 1st. So it should be calendar year.
Okay,
yeah,
you're,
but-
okay.
So I misspoke. It should be calendar year, not fiscal year.
Oh, no worries. I was thinking maybe it works better to stay in line with that fiscal year versus, that's all.
That would mean halfway through the year, they'd get a bump.
Yeah,
Do all of it start.
We don't wanna.
Right.
Yes.
And originally, we weren't planning on making this start until next January.
Right,
Right.
so we don't wanna go fiscal year. We wanna, I mean, we don't wanna go fiscal year. We wanna go calendar.
Calendar year.
Okay, so,
right.
are you sending this out?
Well, me and Tom are gonna work on the letter,
Okay,
and once everybody approves the money amounts, then I would attach this with the letter that Tom and I will work on.
okay, so on this page that you're presenting,
Yes,
you have to change the FY.
correct.
Okay,
Mhm, mhm. And just put C.
no, just drop it.
Let's see for certain.
2026.
Circa 1900.
It's a vintage year.
It was a vintage year.
AKA back.
Okay, I'm good with all the fees, myself, and I'll just speak for myself today. Because we had already kind of worked out the
Right.
percentages. And then, of course, you're making it whole dollars.
Hold
Yeah.
on.
So that makes 100% sense. So, I'm good for moving forward, with this, and just dropping the FY.
Okay,
So that was, so it's funny you brought up something I was going to ask him about. I just saw some numbers that weren't actually rounded. So I was thinking to myself, should we actually round it?
Yeah,
It would be a lot easier, I think.
In the food establishment. fee.
Yes, there's a lot of them are rounded, but there are some there you'll see that have it's dollars and change. I
Yeah,
would say,
I thought you already did that.
are you people looking at?
Yeah. Don't-
Yeah,
don't-
it's the
where am I-
installer
yeah,
and the
don't-
hauler.
Yeah,
You want it in the columns.
don't look at that, look
I'm
here.
looking on the left side.
That's what the actual amount is for percentage. The numbers to the right is the one it actually would be.
Way to
All
go.
right, okay.
I was doing the same thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I read left to right, so.
Yeah,
But when I presented this back in October, I put a letter with this stating
Yeah.
the numbers that are in the left side.
Right.
Is what, so you should remember.
That was
I
October.
followed along, but Jews read from.
Oh, sure, blame it on that.
It's the truth. You don't believe me?
I believe you, I know that.
We start in the back of the book, that we know how the story ends.
Did you grow up doing that?
I did it. He
Oh,
was
God.
totally confused me.
Excellent.
All right, so we're good to go.
So the board, I would need a vote on this for the,
Yes.
I move that we accept this Board of Health fees as written.
I'll second the motion to adjust the Board of Health fee increases as described.
All in favor?
Tom, I
Teresa?
Alan, I.
thank you.
just now about the notification piece. Is there a plan of, I know Jack just alluded to a letter, but is there a plan of attack that you wanna, anyone has a suggestion on implementing?
Well, I think email addresses of all food establishments, the haulers, septic and trash. And I have the mailing addresses of the septic installers. So anybody that has a permit that's come out, I have their contact information, and
Okay,
they will get notified. I'll also put it on the Mendon Facebook and obviously the Board of Health webpage.
Right,
so,
Blast it out that way.
so we thinking like a one-time type of information thing, or we want to do this a couple of times during the course of the year, or?
Well-
Mid-year and then.
I was gonna say, the start of the fiscal year, another 3 months, and towards the end of the year.
And that's all done electronically. There's no mail involved.
Some I would do mailing.
Okay.
To spend a little money to make a little money.
Well,
It may be like 5 or 10 at tops.
yeah, we're trying to prepare everyone,
Understand.
basically.
right.
We
Because
don't want anyone blindsided.
2026.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Correct.
So, I mean,
so.
You know what else we could do too? I just thought of this, Jack, if someone go out and do the food inspections,
Oh, there you go.
I can
Oh,
pass it out,
Good idea.
and just say FYI.
be
All
prepared.
the restaurants, just give me a.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
gonna be doing them.
Yeah, I mean, we're giving them 9-10 months notice.
Yeah,
yes,
that,
oh,
you know,
yeah.
This is where the world is heading.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm good with that. All right, Board of Health, minutes.
Okay, the revised version of the minutes for December 11, 2024, and new minutes for January 8, 2025, and new minutes for January 22.
All right, so we're gonna start. We're all present, I'm looking at, where's my date? December 11th. I don't think I have any notes on this, Joyce or Tom.
oh, I looked at it, I did not.
There was only one tweak. And only because we did an adjustment from placement of information,
Mhm.
we looked at them last time. On the last sentence of the last paragraph of 4B. Does that still apply?
The last sentence of the last paragraph.
Or 4B, yeah. Agenda item 4B. Yeah, the next page up. Second, I think second page. Yeah, right in,
It should be 4B. Or 4B.
From the point where it just says, and as Tom Ryder had to leave tonight's meeting, the board will skip the next topic and move on to the private well impact survey discussion, which
No, that should come out since we moved.
technically we didn't do because,
Right.
right, because we kind of corrected the order of
Yeah,
the discussion, right?
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yep.
all right, so I can make that change.
But that's a minor,
Right. Good.
Yeah.
I'm fine with the content.
All right, so do we want to approve this based on striking that last sentence?
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
All right, I'll ask for a motion for December 11th, 2024.
Sent it to your good little thing there.
All right, you give me, all right. I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes with the one adjustment for that one item mentioned for meeting minutes, December 11th, 2024.
Second,
All in favor?
Tom, I.
Joyce, I.
Alan, aye. All right, we're moving on to January 8th, 2025. You were all present. Hold on, let's see. Joyce or Tom, I have nothing.
Nope, I looked it over 3 times actually. So I was sitting.
There were a few items that I thought maybe we should adjust for this one. I don't know if you want me to go through them now, or just I can work with Jack to, and represent at our next meeting, or,
Fine with me. Joyce, Tom will work with Jack. and
Yeah,
Get
yeah,
back to us.
Sure.
All right, so we'll put this one on hold.
and then we'll just highlight where the adjustment was for the
Yeah.
presentation. Yeah.
I just see one thing where Andrew's name is not spelled correctly. On page 4, 3. Down at the bottom, second paragraph at the bottom.
Yep.
Yeah, that word spell, boy, we got to fix that application.
Oh, yeah, drop the N. I got you, that,
Yes,
like word search. All right. So put that one on hold and we'll move to January 22nd, 2025. Joyce, you missed this meeting unfortunately.
Mr. Chairman, just, I'd like to mention with regard to the approval of meeting minutes. We have been operating under the belief that if a board member misses a meeting, they're not able to vote on the approval of meeting minutes.
right.
That's actually incorrect. A member can miss a meeting, but they still have the ability to review, alter, and vote on the meeting minutes.
Good to know. We'll change our practice.
Okay.
Joyce, you're in.
You're in, Joyce.
Thank you.
I know it's last minute, so.
Yes, that's
don't
all
feel
right.
compelled.
Well, I
thank
did,
you.
I did read over all of the things.
Yep.
To see what I missed that day.
No, thank you. I appreciate the fact that you're prepared. I have no notes on this one.
And I didn't know if it was all right because I wasn't here, so I just looked at it and to say, oh, that sounds good. They did good there. That was nice.
Represented you well.
Thank you.
Tom?
Yeah, sorry. The only thing we would need to, I think, add to these, because we had a discussion about it at our January 8th meeting, was we agreed in moving forward to kind of meet compliance better with open meeting laws, that we would be doing something with documents. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we agreed that at minimum, we need to make sure that the documents are listed.
Yes, that's right. Yep.
They don't have to be attached, but they have to be noted. So at that meeting, we did do a presentation with our well regs. And that was the document that I think we should list as, I don't know how you want to do it, or if you have a suggestion where you put that, but
So it's almost like a footnote.
Yeah, but
as a footnote.
Right, yeah.
Source,
yeah,
remember back.
I'll do it for both January 8th and January 22nd, so it's good for the year. Something like that.
And just while we're on the topic of meeting minutes in general, I think the plan was to, at minimum going forward, attach any documents that were going to be in our packet to the agenda online. And I didn't see that for tonight's, and I didn't see that for our last meeting.
Mhm.
So I don't know if we're going away from that, or that was the plan anyway, that what we would, if I
No, you're right.
understood it correctly.
Oh, we definitely had that discussion, so it's just a matter of implementation.
Mhm.
Okay,
And just one, well, I'll go say this one. Good on the meeting minutes.
okay, so provided we attach that well regs,
Yes,
the
I'm fine.
document to this, you're okay with it?
I'm good with that.
Okay,
January
so,
22.
attachment. Well, regs. Okay, so provided that attachment is attached, we will vote to accept the minutes of January 22nd. So I need a motion.
So you want me to give a motion? Okay.
Sure, you give them.
Okay, I move that we accept the minutes of January 22nd as read.
I'll second the vote to accept the meeting minutes with the attachment to be added after.
All in favor?
Tom, I.
Joyce, I.
Alan, I. All right, so January 8th is on hold. All right, let's go to agenda item 5, old business, 4549 Uxbridge Road, additional blasting testing update.
I don't know if Colleen wants to speak on this topic, but we are trying to find a hydrologist to be Mendon's representative. What Colleen,
Well,
Speak with them.
yeah, we spoke with, Tom Ryder, also spoke with, Jennifer from Ty and Bond.
Yep.
And kind of gave her the parameters of what, you know, the board was looking for. And then we spoke with Tom about it as well. And so Tom was going to consult with them so that they can draw up the scope of work and quite frankly, a price to take a look at all of the documentation that we've assembled and to form an opinion on it as to whether or not they concur with Mr. Redden et al. Or I don't. But in the meantime, we had a water sample done of the lake and we're just waiting for those results. We took a water sample.
Okay, so that was an extra test
Yeah.
outside of the testing that's normally done for the beach.
And was it done at the area of
Yes.
those houses?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Just,
Oh, yeah, no,
Right.
And the
so it's
testing,
just,
the testing company that we use,
like,
so it's very consistent with everything that's
absolutely.
over in that area. There's not a new player involved.
No.
No, and in the course of the conversation with Tom, he, you know, he also concurred that, you know, that we should probably have that done. So it's a matter of, and I was gonna follow up with Tom today, and honestly, I didn't get a chance to, so I will, and I'll get back and I'll let you know. Hopefully by then we'll have some idea as to what the cost is gonna be to have a professional opinion of the boards to see where you go from there with, pursuing it or not.
Like in, lend an added element, I was talking to Jack a little bit about it. I was successful in connecting with, a gentleman at the Mass DEP Drinking Water Program in Boston, who is a hydrogeologist. He's been on staff there for a little over 25 years. So I presented him what we had for information, kind of gave him a rundown of the scenario. What he'd like to see, even though I made him aware that the perchlorate element was not a material element in the blasting compound itself, because that initially, when he looked at that, he had a particular view, and when I mentioned that aspect, it kind of shifted his view a little bit. But he did want to know specifically what the materials were that were in the blasting. So I know I talked with Jack. Jack's working on trying to get the actual blasting report for the site.
His Ron said he does not have.
Say again?
Really?
Ron Anderson, he does not have.
Yeah.
Very helpful.
Yeah, well, the blasting company at minimum should have it. Yeah. I know you're going to try.
Saw that, though. Let me go back to my emails, Tom,
Okay.
because I swear I saw that.
Because I know we had the, Jack initially provided the SDS sheets, which are the general safety something sheets that talk about materials, but what I was looking for was the actual report for that particular site, as opposed to the general safety data sheets
Right.
Right,
that talk about
Yep.
material.
Yep.
And then I was going to submit that to this gentleman for a final review. And then just see if he,
at any comment, yeah.
yeah, well, his general view at the moment is, he can at the moment, come up with a rational reason based on what he sees on the data to do further testing.
Okay.
But he still wanted to see the blasting material because the
Right.
two, now when I say further testing, not a full suite, not a full
Yeah.
review of all the compounds. The two things he did have some interest in were the nitrite and nitrates. So that's why he just wanted to see the blasting material sheet to know specifically what was being used. And then he'll form he'll be able to give back a viewpoint. It'll just be a viewpoint. We have it as a data point, and then ultimately we have to figure with what.
That was main drilling and blasting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, but even if you can't put your finger on it, fortunately, they're local.
Oh, yeah, and
And
they're very,
they
were
have to
very
keep
helpful.
very good records or they'll lose their license.
Yeah, no, they were very, very helpful right from
Yeah.
the get-go.
Everything that comes in gets expended, what's left on the shelf, that stuff can't fall into
Yep,
someone else's hands, so,
I'll let you know tomorrow.
okay.
Oh, yeah. The general comment was, in looking at those values, was they're well within
Mhm.
the acceptable ranges. And I understand, from the resident side, the concern for advancing. But, this area in general has some interesting, I think, water results. Various locations, with perchlorate specifically showing up in quite a few locations.
Absolutely, and the woman from Ty and Bond referenced that and actually pointed out several areas.
So again, perchlorate, is only one item here. And if that was not even involved in the blasting part, we should kind of take that off the table really altogether.
Mhm.
And that just, the perchlorate exists in a lot of different test results in this area.
Right.
One of the things that was mentioned in my conversation with this gentleman was, the lake came in the conversation, was fireworks.
Mhm.
And fireworks can contain this item.
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
yes, that was, we also discussed that.
Yeah, and every year, pretty much, there's always fireworks that go off, not only by residents, but in years past, there's been the barge.
Right.
It's a big show that gets put on.
Mhm.
And so it's quite a bit of fireworks that go off. So, and given the fact that we had quite the dry season
Right.
past year, that could easily point to the perchlorate piece anyway. So, but anyway,
No, very, very interesting, and I'm, very fortunate that you were able to have a conversation with someone with that technical background.
yeah, I ended up just going I was looking at the SCP website. I saw an email address for this person. I think they were like a director or something. I said, oh, what the hell? I'll send them an email.
I think we emailed him earlier.
Did you?
What was his name?
It was a general email. It wasn't even a person. It was that something director something at.
Yep.
So I said,
At the
hello.
very beginning of it, we did.
Yeah, so I just gave my name, who I was, and I said I'd be interested in having a conversation. Didn't really have great expectation, actually, that it was necessarily going to get a response.
Right.
The next day, this gentleman from the Mass Drinking Water Program
Good.
reached back out to me. I'm like, yeah, this is great. Thank you very much. And we had a phone conversation. And
Yeah.
Well, totally independent books, not only, someone with those credentials, but totally independent. So that's a
Yeah,
good
and that's what
source.
that's
Yeah.
what you need is something like that, I think, to
So-
just say.
Yeah,
I think
this was the same because our friend at the DEP, we reached out to her at the very beginning of this and she pointed us to that was the gentleman that had that conversation with that day. Sure of it.
really?
Mhm.
So the gentleman I'm speaking with, his name is Joe Cerruti.
Yeah, that's it.
Is it really?
Tomorrow I'm gonna check my emails. I'll
Okay.
tell you right now.
We talked for over an hour.
Yep,
Wow,
yep.
that's huge.
That's great. That
Yeah.
is great. Good,
Good,
good for
good
you.
representative.
Well, it gives me a
Good
great,
for you.
good feeling about our state,
There you go.
the agency. So,
Good
Yeah.
job.
oh, we'll see but right now,
Well,
might be hard to connect. Yeah, yeah, I know.
That's really what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
is We're trying to,
Yeah.
support our decision. Well, actually, we're just trying to get it, we haven't even made a decision yet. But it's a decision that we have to rely on some experts to give us some input as to, what their feelings are. And again, to have an independent voice like that is great.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right.
One quick question on that. Did we get the two reports from Andrew that he spoke of at the last meeting? Remember he said he had 2 water tests done way before the blasting took place. And he was going to send us those results.
I want to say I did receive them.
Okay.
Do we, out of curiosity, do a comparison just to see how they stacked up against
I gotta
what
double check my email.
the first pre-blast test was? I'd just be curious, because you seem to indicate that there was a difference in even the pre-blast test that was done versus his test results that he had previously done in time before. I don't know how far before. But I was curious how they looked.
Yeah, that's a good point. So you did email.
And the other thing would be, what would even have been on that test? It may not have been as comprehensive as what
Yeah.
we're looking at now, but. So,
We'll circle back to it.
yeah,
Yeah, actually, it's in the minutes that we put on hold for January 8th, 2025. Where that misspelling for Andrew's name was, it's actually in that paragraph. Andrew stated that he has 2 water test reports prior to the blasting taking place, and both reports show that his water was fine. And that it was only after the blasting had taken place that the differences are now showing in his water results. So it's right there, January 8th. Just a matter of whether or not we received those.
I want to say I did, but I'll check my emails tomorrow.
I thought I had read it. Okay. All right, 5B, Mendon private well rig update.
Obviously, Tom Wright hasn't finished all the changes that we talked about at that last meeting. So he's still working on another draft of the board review before making a final. Then we'll go to the downtown meeting,
Public.
public hearing of the well regulation. But I did, since we are on the topic, talking about the Mendon private well survey. Remember we got this from the state, and I posted it on the Mendon website back on January 9th. Asking the same questions that the state did. We only get 25 responses, but it's 25 more than I had prior.
That's right. Yep, I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
actually.
So I just wanted to share that with the board.
Yeah, that's
That
great.
was awesome.
Good.
So what we'll do is then just pass this along through that survey link.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was great that we got this information. Yeah, honestly. Was there any, did we only ask people to respond to questions? We didn't ask about comments, right?
No comments.
Okay.
I did have one thought on the private well rigs. Because we have been working on them for so long and I don't want to hold up updating. And we started the discussion about ADUs.
Yeah,
And I didn't know if there was a way of putting I'll call it a placeholder within the regulations pertaining to ADUs, but not really saying too much at this time because the state hasn't said too much. That we could go back to and add verbiage when the time is appropriate,
Sure.
because I don't want to hold the well regs
Right.
until we find out more about ADUs and are able to address them appropriately. I didn't know what everybody thought about that.
Yeah, it's a good
I think
idea.
that's- I do too.
I think it shows that we're aware of it. And the fact that we somehow make reference to it, even though it's not complete from the state perspective, we make reference to it in our regs. Lets people know that, oh, the Board of Health's aware of this and working to address how to handle it. I think it's a good idea.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if you want
Yep.
to forward that to Tom in some fashion and see where he feels it's appropriate.
Yep.
And that way there we can keep the wheels turning without having to go back to stop. All right, great, thank you.
Since our last meeting and talking about the well regs, and we kind of went through the extensive review and so forth, I had some additional additions. Do you want me to just present those to Jack? There were some additional thoughts that I thought we could consider adding.
Absolutely.
Nothing major. I thought maybe an expansion of the definitions might be a good idea. I did some look-see on some different well regs in neighboring towns and stuff and saw some definitions anyway that I think we want to include and a couple of added little points. I can send them along and you can, compile them as part of the,
Yep. I can do that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a lot.
I like that stuff.
Yeah, whatever it takes to keep the wheels turning
Right.
so that we can,
That we look like we know what we're doing.
well, no,
I'm just kidding.
when a process takes as long as that's taken for one reason or another, things
Right.
change.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And, we're talking a period of 18 months, 2
Yeah.
years.
Yep.
A lot changes during the
Right.
process.
Yeah.
So the only way to catch them before you do that final approval is to keep adding as you're going along and subtracting. So absolutely.
And what is happening actually too, environmentally and that sort of stuff, things are changing, the environment is changing and,
There's proof of it.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
yeah, just like with the blasting, now we're gonna incorporate some verbiage into the well regulations with regards to blasting and post and pre-blast testing
Right,
and, you know, what those results are. So, you know, that as a result of our experience with extra.
Right, and we know, unfortunately, we're probably gonna see more of that,
Absolutely.
because the land that's left to develop is getting rougher and rougher,
right.
or wetter and wetter. So it's just, it's what's left to develop.
We'll be proactive. You know,
Yes.
instead of reactive.
It does raise that topic again of blasting regulations. I would probably be inclined to want to have a set of blasting regulations. But I think that is multi-board encompassing. You know, you got the fire department, you got Concom, you
Yeah.
got, so I think if whether we want to take the lead on that, we should, if we did, we will formulate some sort of an action plan to get the communications rolling between all the concerned parties so that we're all in agreement with the direction to go in and, you know, we're factoring in everybody's, you know, needs.
So we have to keep. That's separate, that's an application, that's a state application, so, you know, that would have to stay separate from, you know, if the board went forward with any regulations.
Well, maybe the first thing to do is present it to the town administrator,
There you go.
you know, what we're thinking. And then let him, you know, converse with the select board. And, you know, get their feedback as to, you know, who they think we should involve. Or, you know, not involve, whatever they think is appropriate, and then, you know, start the discussion that way. Jeremy is very good. And we may find that he has heard of something or experienced something in that area just by starting the discussion with him. So I'm all for inviting him to a future meeting to maybe open that discussion.
Sure.
Then we can put him on the agenda somewhere in the near future. And we can get that going.
Mhm.
All right?
Mhm.
Okay,
My favorite topic coming up.
we already did
Okay.
the landfill. So we're gonna go to, if I'm not skipping over anything, we're gonna go to agenda item 6.
Yep.
Eversource property update.
Okay,
Come
no,
on,
Jeff,
buddy.
I am still working on it.
I hope we're getting interested.
what is that about? You know,
I'm sure the representative that I've been dealing with is not in charge of the money,
right,
so I'm sure he's doing his best.
Yep, hey,
But I bug him every Monday morning. Where are we with this?
right.
And I'm sure he's getting a little agitated with me, but.
Oh, wow.
I think at this point you should send flowers.
Yeah.
no, Valentine's Day is coming up.
Valentine's Day, that would be great.
Yeah, no, hey, that's all
That
we
would
can
actually
do
be great fun.
is, you know,
I'm not letting it go. Don't slow
yeah,
down.
but,
Right,
and, you know, like you said, the representative that we're, you know, have this discussion with is probably not the same person that cuts the check. So, you know, eventually the person that cuts the check will get their attention.
Yeah.
The important thing is that it was agreed upon.
Yes.
Okay. 2024 BOH annual town report update.
And so I just wanted to give the final, what that was submitted to the town administrator. Again, we were changing the first paragraph with everybody's input from the board. And also giving some shout outs to Mike Seskin and Phil from EL Harmony.
yeah, very nicely done.
Yeah, excellent.
Very
Very
nice.
good.
Well, that's all. Good job.
Teamwork. Teamwork.
That's it, yeah, that's what
Um,
it's all about.
An added note about the report. We are not limited to the space that we have in the annual report book. I think the thought was we were limited. We're not.
Oh, so we could put 2 more pages?
We could put a book in there. We felt necessary. We could put a chapter about each of us in there.
Well,
You know,
collectively,
where we
probably
grew
have a
up,
chapter.
you know, what we enjoyed as children and all that sort of stuff.
And don't get me started. All right, very good there. 2024 VNA annual report update.
Also, I was speaking with Ann Labonte, and she gave us a 2024, what she has done for the town of Mendon. That includes the flu clinics, BB clinics, the vaccination clinics that was done at the senior center and the school. COVID data that was done throughout the calendar year of 2024. And I did ask her about, in preparing for the next topic of the budget, they are not increasing the contract.
Yeah, no. Very good.
Good,
Well,
yeah.
that could change based on my next question.
Well,
Uh-oh.
Tom, you want to go first?
Was that?
You want to go first?
Oh, it doesn't matter. You can. If you have
Oh,
to-
okay. I don't know if anyone else picked up on this. But I was surprised at the 30 cases of Lyme disease.
Yes, I did pick up on that.
That
That,
has been
That's
such
good
a
out.
problem,
Yeah.
Lyme disease this year.
I can't tell you how many times I was bit this year,
Yeah,
and I've got scars.
Mm.
It's amazing, they don't go away,
no,
and I catch them fairly quick. So when I saw that,
yeah.
And if someone here can tell me what human granulosic anaplasmosis is, you get $5.
Well, that's gonna be Joyce then.
That's a,
Yeah.
that's a blood,
Yeah,
blood disease.
Disorder.
no.
Blood disease.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
yeah,
Anaplasmosis.
right, yeah.
okay,
Yeah, that Lyme
That's
disease.
amazing. There were 3.
yeah. No, that's interesting reading.
Yeah,
yeah, it fascinates me, just the different, and the changes, the fluctuations, if you went back and got the reports from 2 or even 3 years and put them all side by side and just see the progression of in certain areas, it's very interesting.
Well, and the spotted fever, the Rocky Mountain fever, that's related to ticks, right? That's tick-borne
right,
also.
yeah. Yeah, that's why I have to have an argument with my husband every time he goes out in the garden and he doesn't think I know anything apparently. Because he goes out there and he's got his shorts on and, he's doing the thing, then we have deer that come up and,
I'm just doing my job. They find me.
Oh, yeah, my mom's a tick magnet.
oh,
I can't tell you how.
I mean, knock on wood.
And not,
Okay.
yes, but unbelievable.
ugh,
All right, so good information and, hopefully, we're gonna see some of that go away.
Well, rumor has it too that Lyme disease, the ticks are attracted to certain blood types,
Oh,
type A. One of their favorites.
Really?
oh,
How
God,
did they know?
I got an A positive.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
gonna,
Oh, yeah, that's what we said. We
Yeah.
both said that
That's
day,
right.
yeah.
Yeah,
how did
you
they
know
know?
what I am.
What do you mean?
just some articles I've been reading and whatnot,
Here comes an A.
yeah.
This person needs to be calmed down. a little. Yeah.
Well,
Interesting stuff.
I'd love to read it, actually.
Tom and I both know some people that have gotten bit,
Oh,
gotten
yeah.
really sick.
Something
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah, very, very bad. One
know.
friend in particular who's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know a few people that passed
Mm-hmm.
and they swear that the illness that took their life was caused from a tick bite,
And it very well could be.
so I mean, it is, serious, if, not taken care of right away.
But just interesting, different.
Yeah,
Just like right now, I'm reading a book, it's, Eat Your Blood Type. And the diet that you should be on based upon your particular blood type.
no kidding.
So
Very
you're gonna tell me about us.
There you go. Sure.
vegetarian.
Vegetarian?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll move on
Well,
to,
Before you do make the move, I wanted to ask my question if I could.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Let's go ahead.
You should have gone first.
Well, no. So it's really, really a Jack. I know, since we're on the topic of VNA, I don't know if you were able to find out from them what it might cost if the senior center were to do the weekly blood pressure clinics versus once a month, because they have a desire to do that.
I'm asking her what she's heard about it. She said she hasn't heard anything, so I didn't ask her about pricing. So I can ask her about pricing if that was gonna be the case.
Well, it was actually Amy specifically who, Amy from the senior center. And I had just happened to have a conversation. I was down there and they do have a desire to do it. So the question is, can the VNA?
Do they have a desire to pay for it?
Well, so would the VNA be able to accommodate that? Number one, a weekly, right, versus once a month. B, from a cost perspective, what would it be for the added service? And C, the cost for it, could the Board of Health absorb it in our budget?
Okay, so we had a number of
How many,
questions.
the other, the D would be, how many seniors we talking about?
That was my thing.
Good question.
Are you coming out weekly to
Good question.
test two people? Or you-
Because you may have a retired senior who is a, you know,
Who can
nurse
take blood pressures?
that can do BPs.
Huh.
There you go.
Hmm.
And then, you know, then there's no cost to the board. I mean, I know the other town, we have a retired nurse who comes into the senior center once a week, and that's what she
Oh, wow.
does.
There you go.
Well, I think the existing blood pressure visits that we do now, they do now once a month. It's a little more all encompassing.
Yes, it is, because
From
they
what I
won't
understand.
get meds and whatnot. This is like certain seniors who, you know, maybe want their BP taken every week because they're, you know,
It's
the medication. That might be where you have a retiree that could do that.
So maybe that would suffice where they don't necessarily need that full,
Exactly.
they only really need just the BP check.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because like once when the nurse comes in, you know, I mean, Joyce knows, you're not only BP, you're looking at their medication, you know what I mean? You're
Mhm.
assessing them for any changes that,
Yeah.
you know, things like that, but if it's just a weekly thing where they're just, you know, a little nervous about their BP.
Right.
What about a student nurse from BBT?
Absolutely, that's a great idea.
Someone who wants to do some
What
community
happens,
service.
what happens is BVT, that's a night program. That they don't, their day program is not a nursing program. They have a health program in the, you know, the school program for BVT.
Okay.
But the night program is the nursing program.
Yeah.
So that would make it,
Maybe we should post something up on the board, a retired,
right.
you know, nurse.
Well, I mean, Jane Lowell, you know, Jane Lowell.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a nurse.
Yeah.
She's a retired nurse.
Yeah, I mean.
She'll kill me.
So when I call her and I say, Joyce told me to call you, Jane.
Okay, so I guess, why don't you talk to Ms. Lowell?
Yeah,
Why don't you ask those questions from the VNA
Mm,
so we can get some more information? The other question would be to ask Amy how many people she feels are gonna be interested in having this done.
right.
Because even if we can't do it,
And she may know the nurse. She may have somebody that's a nurse and say, you know, even though you're saying, well, we should have somebody from there, that you've got a nurse that knows how to take blood pressures
excuse me,
and on a weekly basis, just blood pressure. It's not anything else,
Mhm.
you know? I'd tell her that, ask her, you know, I'm sure you've got some retired nurses in there that could just do just a blood pressure. Because otherwise Jane's gonna kill me.
well, the other thing is also is if we can't do it every week, maybe we can set something up every other. You know, I mean, some meet in the middle somewhere instead of
Right.
once a month.
Yeah.
We'll get you twice a month.
yeah.
Right.
Kind of work towards the goal.
Mhm.
All right.
Mhm.
We're going to 60.
60 CMRK new report. Give the board what we've received in for textile collections for the 2024 year. So total pounds collected for the entire year 2024 was almost 3,000 pounds of textiles.
Wow,
That's great.
so Jack, like, I have fabric, will they take that?
Mhm.
How do I get that to them?
You can schedule your own pickup.
Oh, I can.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah, it comes to the
great.
house.
Cause right now I have,
Home pickup.
yeah, I saw that, but then I just didn't know if, cause right now, because of, I have all my classes and everything and, you know, everybody's cutting, then I have it in a special bag, but the bag is about this. big. Oh, good. And do I have a number someplace?
It's on our website. Board of Health.
Okay, okay.
I think Joyce's house alone could meet that 2,000.
Yeah, I can get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Next you'll see this big spike. Oh, Joyce must be recycling.
No, that's
How long have we had-
fantastic. I mean,
how long
think
have we
about
had
it, 3,000
CMRK?
pounds.
Well, that's, you think about it, you know, multiply that by the tipping rate right now.
Yeah, forget that it's illegal.
Yeah, but just multiply that
Oh,
by
yeah.
the tipping rate.
At 3,000 pounds, so that's a ton and a half. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna be what, at 100?
No, not yet.
Not yet, all right, so even if it was 90, that's $135. It's doing the right thing.
Right, and you know what, I mean, before, you'd just throw it in the trash and blah, 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 but, you know, I have just a bag, you know,
How long have we had CMRK?
So 2 years, maybe 3.
At least a couple.
It was the pink bag program.
Oh, right.
Right,
yeah,
Yeah.
They kicked us off.
right, they're well,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that worked out well, the pink bag worked out well, yeah. Oh, sorry.
Okay, if we're done with that one, we're gonna move on to E.
All right, so fiscal year 26 Board of Health budget discussion. Colleen and I met with Jeremy this afternoon. Talked about the Board of Health budget. I'm still working out the numbers. But we're looking at for municipal expenses, an increase of 2%. For that increase, we're looking at salaries or COLA increases. Testing for Lake Nipmuc. Microbac is going up 5% for their service costs. And for total subscriber trash costs, it's going up 4% because of the annual contract with E.L. Harvey and also with Wind Waste. 4%.
We're at what, 400?
We're at 670. That includes everything, but for
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I was just thinking what the subscribers are paying, it's adding 4% to that. But yeah, okay.
so I want to get the final numbers all squared away. I'll present to the board.
Okay, so E.L. Harvey goes up 3. With their contract, right?
4.
Well, is this the third year or the first?
We are in the 3rd year.
Yes, so I thought it was a 3% annual.
I thought it was 3 in the first 3 and then it went up. No?
One.
Okay. Well, I can tell you whose bill is not going up this coming year.
What?
Post. Oh, because your kids.
Magic age,
Yes.
senior discount.
Uh-huh.
You can't get approval from the board.
Yeah,
Oh, that'll be a fight. That's right.
I don't think it came across your senior discount form yet.
I'm sorry?
I don't think it came across your senior discount form.
Oh, it came with gold leaf on it and
Oh,
everything.
I'll take a look.
Pictures, like smiley faces.
and bells.
You haven't filled out the census in how many years?
But they'll fill that out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow, now we're gonna pay by to your trash? Now I'm really feeling good. All right, Wind Waste, 20-year contract.
All right, so Paul and I had a meeting with the 37 cities and towns of Massachusetts. So we're starting the negotiations, trying to get the subcommittees together for all the towns and stuff like that. but it probably won't be another 20-year contract. It could be a 10, but most likely it's looking to be a 5.
Oh,
But not surprising,
no.
not surprising.
So the one was starting to roll on this.
Got a good deal there.
Volunteered for the subcommittee. So what they're gonna do is break it out into different sections, like the small, like maybe group together a couple of small towns like Mendon, Hopedale, Blackstone together, and Jack and I volunteered to be on that subcommittee.
Makes sense to kind of organize it by type
Area,
of trash or
right.
quantities of trash, kind of match them up and,
Yeah, yeah, they broke it out by tonnage,
yeah.
and so we were on the lower end of things,
Yeah.
which is fine,
Yep, yep.
but it's gonna be, be a lot of work. I remember it from,
First time.
oh yeah, I was there the first time. And of course, you didn't have technology,
Oh, right,
so you
yeah.
had, you know,
Everything was
Room
written
full of
down
people.
and call the phone and use the phone.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So
All
it'll be
right.
interesting, be a good education.
Yeah, hopefully things will go well for us. All right, anything else on that? We'll move along to the MHOA Tobacco Grant Services, also known as 6G in our homework.
I'll let you talk about that.
This is the program through the Mass Health Officers Association. It is an association that offers a lot of services, quite frankly, to the local boards free of charge. One of them, this is the organization that I recently took the tobacco training through, to be able to go on tobacco compliance checks. And our contact there, Sarah, who's a great person, she's been there forever, very knowledgeable, very helpful. She suggested that we enter into a memorandum of understanding to have their associates come out, you know, the first few times that we go out and do tobacco compliance checks. I mean, it's something that's new to me. I've done them, you know, years ago, but I haven't done them recently. So it would be a good opportunity to, you know, be brought up to date with all the local requirements and the education. It's very similar to what we did with the Leominster Tobacco Control Program. The thing is that this is, a matter of fact, an identical program, but it's free of charge. So it's through this organization that we have a lot of affiliations with. I mean, they very knowledgeable organization as well, very helpful. So we thought that it would be worth it to have the board think about us entering into an MOU with them just for tobacco compliance checks. Spend some time with them, getting it down, you know, the regs down and the procedure processes and things like that. And utilize the free assistance.
so,
Good, no, go ahead.
when I was reading it, I'm seeing that they would have a younger, kid, so to speak.
Right,
And so do they bring that kid with them and they do that, they're, okay, because I was wondering, I was gonna say, is Colleen gonna go around grabbing kids,
21.
grabbing kids and saying, hey, go in there and buy some cigarettes?
yeah, no, these kids are trained, they're trained.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what you want, you know,
Right.
you want trained individuals. And that way there, you know, we don't expose ourselves to any unnecessary liability.
Right, yeah, I know I read that they were considered temporary employees of this
Yeah.
organization.
Yeah.
I know it's said.
Yes, I mean, you know, we used to use the through the
You know, we had Elliot Brown for a while.
right, the police station, and they had the, you know, the kids that were, you know, were thinking about becoming police officers, and they had that program, right? And we utilized them with their parents' permission, of course.
Right,
That's not really, that's kind of frowned upon now.
Mhm.
Because these young adults that they use go through a specific training.
right.
Do you have any insight on the grant funding for this particular program?
Grant,
Yeah, because it looks like their source of income is through a grant,
oh, yeah,
right?
Right, yeah,
And
Yeah,
so-
the Mass Tobacco,
right,
cessation and prevention program.
Yeah.
right.
Um,
So what I was
That's-
wondering,
That's the grant right there.
yeah, I mean, they allude to it in
Yeah.
the MOU at various points, the services will last as long as the funding lasts. I didn't know if you had any insight on what you thought this grant program has been like, where you see funding going or not going.
I don't, I mean, I can surely look into it and report back to you.
I was just curious. I
Yeah.
mean, not that it would matter. I mean, it looks like at a point, if funding ceases, all services stop.
Well, that's
Right.
what it is, yeah.
Right.
I mean, yeah,
So, and and that's always the possibility,
Yeah.
so why not utilize?
Take advantage while we got it.
right. Well, that's what I thought. you know.
I'm eager to, for the training, and to go out and, and do the compliance checks in our area. We just had them in another town and I was disappointed in the outcome.
Really,
And I know this is just an MOU, but would anyone see any reason why this should be legally looked at, or just, this is not necessarily rise to that occasion?
it's done by the Massachusetts, it's done by
Yeah,
the,
where no money is changing
Right.
hands, I don't think it needs to be looked at by legal.
Let's throw it out. I don't mean, I would
Because it's
refer
a-
it actually to you to.
right,
I mean, it is a contract, but I mean, there's no dollars and cents involved. So I don't know.
what?
But it's a contract.
But we also we have the authority as the Board of Health to enter the contract.
We just always typically take an attack of trying to get validation from
Mhm.
town council, that's all.
Um,
I
I mean, it doesn't hurt.
just a
If
thought.
you'll answer us,
Well, it's the elevate too,
Hopefully
like, let us which one's fun.
Are we still on that roller coaster?
Well, you could approve it contingent upon council's approval.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I thought it was very interesting and I thought sounded like it was. a good-
Personally, I personally don't see the issue. I only raised it from a consistency perspective.
Right.
Whenever we've been presented these types of things, we've always kind of
But
looked at
it's
that,
not gonna cost us any money,
and there is no money,
right,
No,
so.
it's not money that's.
Right, so-
This is for a service, it's basically,
a
to,
service.
number one, perform compliance checks and education checks in the town, and number two, to train for, additional training, so that then I can do the compliance checks.
And I took this as being very similar to the collaborative.
Yes,
Mhm.
All right,
oh, well, this is exactly what
It's
that is,
just another form,
that's right.
which we're encouraged to do.
Mhm.
Municipalities are encouraged to work together and joining groups to share
Oakdale's
information.
too. Oakdale,
Okay, so I could go either way as to whether or not we have to wait for legal to bless it.
So I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to motion that we accept the memorandum of understanding between the Massachusetts Health Officers Association Incorporated and Town of Mendon Board of Health.
second,
All in favor?
Tom, I.
choice I,
Alan, I.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Do you have a copy for me to sign? I kind of
copy.
I marked this up a little bit.
here.
Well, I made notes.
Yeah,
oh.
sorry,
here's one.
Oh, okay.
I think I just saw Jack's fest level drop quite a bit.
Does it matter that it says 6G on the top?
no,
I was gonna sign your name if you didn't.
Oh, that's fine.
That's it.
I was gonna sign it.
No, when I read through it and I kind of was listening to the different rules and the procedures that they
Right,
want you to follow. I thought it was, very, very well written, but,
Right.
there are rules that they.
Oh, my God, there were
adhere
so
to.
many rules and so many things.
know.
I mean, it was page after page after page, and I kept saying, holy mackerel. And I'm reading it, and Dan's reading the newspaper, and I keep saying, holy mackerel. It's like,
And the one thing,
what's going on here?
and the one thing in that is we can separate it anytime
Right,
with written notice.
Right.
Either
Yeah.
party,
yeah,
so.
All right, so we're gonna move on to H, appoint the MHOA as Mendon's Tobacco Control Agent.
This is one of the stipulations that the board needs to vote on, appointing that MHOA as tobacco agent for the town of Mendon.
So we need a motion.
I make the motion that we appoint the MHOA as Mendon's Tobacco Control Agent.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Tom, I.
Joyce, I.
Al and I.
Thank you.
Oh, one of my next favorite topics coming up.
There you go. Health agent updates. Colleen, you're up.
Ta-da!
Town council sent out a letter to the property owner of 53 Blackstone Street
Hallelujah.
with a time frame, and basically spelled out the penalty if the property owner does not provide the board with the requested documentation. So we have it on our calendar for
March 4th.
March 3rd. March 3rd. If we don't receive a response by then we're to let Karis know, and Karis will bring it. But it's
I
unfortunate.
mean, that's gone on for over a year.
Well, I'm hoping that,
Because
this
they
letter
use stuff.
itself that
At least 2 years.
Oh,
may realize.
right. Hey, come on, bud. Yeah.
Well, actually, if you look here, Joyce, it says the property was acquired on or about December 2nd, 2020.
I don't think you guys were aware of it until 2022.
Yes, that's when I started to track everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right. And then I came on board and that's when we started to pursue it.
Mhm.
And we loved that day.
Well, I think that's when I started getting some calls from people that just knew that I was on a town board about related trucks being on the property, et cetera. So that kind of drew a little more attention to the property. All right,
So we have this on our calendar, and if we don't see the documentation. And it's all spelled out there.
Right.
69 Hartford Ave West. I've been going by, I stopped one day, they're out there, the weather's been kind of cold but there's a container, there was a container, it wasn't there yesterday when I went by. But it looks like they are trying to clean out some of the garage. I haven't spoken with the gentleman that I'm dealing with, that's helping them out here. It wasn't there the last time I knocked on the door.
okay.
Just the property owner was. But as long as we see forward progress, that's always been our mantra. And she's making an effort, the property owner, she's aware of it too.
Good.
And we are very busy with food inspections and housing inspections and complaints. Very busy.
Complaints, really?
Yeah,
how busy on the complaint side, out of curiosity, Bruce? How busy on the complaint side?
busy. We've had some complaints about the dumpsters at the restaurants, so we worked on that. Jack and I, we sent out notices. I contacted some of the business owners, and monitored them. I'm happy to say, when I went out over the weekend, there wasn't any overflowing
Good.
dumpsters, there wasn't garbage beside the dumpsters. We received some complaints of, failed septic, well, maybe not I shouldn't say failed septic system. A septic system that needs to be. So we investigated that, had a nice conversation with the property owners. They were, worked with us very well. The system was pumped this morning. I spoke with the contractor. And he'll be sending over the pump slip, said the system needed to be pumped. Jack and I went, and we reviewed the property file and found there was a pump slip in there from 2023. So it was long
Ready? Yeah.
for, for a pump. As far as food, we haven't really had any complaints from the restaurants. We have Dominique, the health inspector. There's 3 restaurants right now that need inspections. They're up for inspection. So Dominique was out there today doing those inspections. I haven't seen the report yet from him, but I'm sure he'll send them over. Him and I work, and Jack, the 3 of us work very closely as far as making sure that our restaurants remain on regular rotation for inspection.
Has anyone on the board here met Dominique yet?
No,
I have not. However, I was in an establishment today. And the manager said that she had a very good experience with Dominique.
Oh, good.
There were a few trash cans that needed some attention. But she learned a lot about him, both on his professional side and his personal side.
Yeah.
And she said it was a pleasure.
Great.
So I was thrilled to hear that it was a good experience.
good.
Anything on the, from a housing sanitation perspective that's come your way, or we've been pretty good in that area?
As far as requests for inspection,
Or like just any reports of any concerns about within a household?
we had one.
Okay, just one.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, like to know in general how we're
It's
doing
not the
in
same.
town, that's all.
Northbridge Road one.
No.
Has that been fixed?
Northbridge Road,
Yeah,
that the septic system. There hasn't been an issue of this. Every time Kelly goes over, and lifts up the lid, I mean, it's functioning. I spoke with the contractor, John Gibson, and he said he thinks it was that the, one of the lines was blocked, and so he, sucked it out. And ever since then, that system has been working just fine.
okay,
We check those levels.
right, yeah,
Well, Stevie goes out
Yeah.
and back and he lifts up the lid. We did have a housing concern. And had a conversation with our social worker through the Blackstone Valley Partnership.
Yeah.
Yep, provided her with the information for the individual that was living there. It was brought to our attention by the police department.
Who-
So we're working through that right now.
Yeah.
Anything else?
So
All right, on that topic. I don't know, I had some thoughts on how the rest of the board feels. But sort of to your question, has anybody met Dominique yet? Because the guards have kind of changed.
Yeah.
We get very comfortable with Daniel and Danielle, and we would see them around and we would interact with them. I didn't know if the board wanted to invite the 3 representatives now, right? There's 3? Just, there's 3.
check these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To, either come to a meeting or to dial in.
Yeah.
Just so that we could have some form of face-to-face communication, get a little familiar with them, make sure that they understand that we're here to support them and they should reach out to us about anything that, we can do
Sure.
as board members.
I'm sure they'd love
Just
that.
just a thought.
Good thought.
Good.
Tom, he sent that to me.
I don't know, I was thinking he's gonna go the way of, he's gonna buy dinner at a restaurant, 4-star anyway, but we'll take that.
Okay. We have nothing else on that. We'll move on to the agenda item number 8. Topics not anticipated within 48 hours.
None.
Joyce?
Mhm.
All right. Agenda item number 9, good and welfare for the board.
I'm healthy.
A couple.
You first.
What did I have? Oh, it was just a couple of notices for the board. we got, I don't know if you happen to notice, we received a clinical advisory from DPH recently in the email. It was just something they wanted to make us aware of, highlighting the enhanced surveillance for the H5N1 avian influenza, which we all know as.
For flu.
There you go.
Yeah,
Gotta,
well,
gotta say the bird there.
walking down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's scary too.
Mhm. Yeah, it is, yeah. And they wanted to bring attention to a possible increase in pediatric neurological complications of seasonal influenza. So if anyone's interested who might hear this, they can go out to mass.gov, get information, they can call DPH phone number as well, and they can get more details on it.
It's been a scary season.
Yeah.
I mean, Dan had bacterial pneumonia and a regular.
The other item I had was, I don't know if you caught the email, if everyone got an email from Jamie Terry?
About the drill,
Was that
about the
about
drill.
the drill?
Yeah.
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 I don't know if you.
We did, we had the drill.
Oh, we had.
Yeah,
the drill.
wasn't I here that day?
Yeah,
but
yeah, we did check after.
Happened to be in the office.
I guess I won't go any further.
Yeah,
Because the email was giving us a heads up
yeah,
that a drill was coming, but they weren't gonna say when the drill
No.
was.
yeah, and it did.
And so how did you get notified that?
Through the emergency system, we're contacts, so they notify you. They let you know that this is a drill and they give you instructions on what you have to do to complete the drill.
So I guess I'm no longer on that list then,
You should be on the list. There should be your cell phone number.
because I never got. a
Yeah, I
notification.
got an email and
Did
a
you get-
text message,
I thought we were all
or
on
a voicemail and a text message, yeah.
I thought minimum a text message.
Yeah, and just by chance, I happened to be with these two,
The kids.
the kids.
Oh, when the drill was going on?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
okay.
Yeah,
Well, I went in
that's
to ask, some questions.
no, that was on the fifth.
Could have been, I'd have to look back.
It
on the
was-
phone.
Because you signed in the permit application.
Yes, it
yeah.
was. It
But
was.
I had gone in because I got the email from Jamie.
Yeah.
And I'm reading it and I'm saying, geez, you know, I hope I'm doing this right. And I hope that all my information is up to date. So that's the discussion we were having in the drill room.
So I sent Jamie, I made a call to Jamie today, following up. What, almost a week and a half. I think the email came on the 30th of January.
Yeah,
So to let her know that I did not remember my password. And you could give her a call and she could connect you with a person to reset the password. So when you get an opportunity, give me a call back. I hadn't heard back yet, but maybe because the drill's over, she's like, Tom, that guy, he ignored the drill. I'm not gonna call
no,
him.
I didn't get any information. on that.
I can only get a-
See,
your cell phone number and your email.
right, just maybe it just, just,
It should
Double
be
check.
there.
Password should be my email?
No, so when I go in,
Oh,
I have all of us listed as the contact.
okay,
to
yeah,
Get the drill,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna confirm that I have your right cell phone numbers and
Yeah,
okay,
obviously email addresses.
going through the system.
okay.
my,
Sounds like he got
my,
it.
phone is 508-344-8210. And it's bjgilmore23@gmail.com.
Well, most likely it would go to your
Oh, my Board of Health
Board
thing.
of Health email.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, but we did it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll check on it, I'll volume two.
See, and all this time I thought I might be the wink link, right place at the right
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
The other question I had, do we follow a particular protocol when it comes to believing a need that we have to invoke town council? Do we have a particular protocol that we're asked to follow?
That involves, if we want to invite town council.
So like, in the case of tonight, if we did decide that we wanted to, well, that MOU should go through town council, would there have been a procedure you would have followed?
I would watch Jeremy.
You would have gone to Jeremy?
Yeah, new topics.
Yep.
That involve town council
Yep.
goes to Jeremy.
Yep.
But if it's something that we, like 43 Blackstone Street,
Yep.
automatically go right to her instead of Jeremy.
But if it's new, he's asked that we provide him with
What's going on?
that courtesy.
Okay, and so if it's like an ongoing one, like 43 Blackstone Street, there's no need to continue CCing him on continued requests.
Always CC him.
Well, I CC'd him on, like I asked her last week about this information, didn't get a response back. So then I CC'd Jeremy again, like, and lo and behold, I get a response.
Okay, I was just curious if that, what we were doing, if we had to invoke a particular process, if we were going, because I know that there can be there's an expense potentially that be incurred. So I just didn't even know, either know if something either came from even Karis, they gave a direction, or if we were being asked to follow a particular process to call out. So that's good. Okay, just so I know.
Yeah.
So there is a process.
So there is a process. Yeah, it would make sense. You do want to centralize that.
Right.
And especially to Jeremy being the TA, that would be the thing to do.
Mhm.
He's got, the overall look-see into those, from a town council perspective, the TA and the select board are the key people. So if any board is going to invoke town council, you should be going through the TA.
Yeah.
'Cause like I said, because there is a cost element that could, come into play there.
Yeah, I don't know how it's structured, but you're right. You always kind of think of that.
Yep.
Then you think of if you don't go and you should have. gone,
Right, then you'll
what the
be
cost
sorry.
is.
Yeah, then what am I paying? Yeah.
And the only other thing I'd throw out as a follow-up, is I know we were talking about how we're gonna organize our documents with an agenda, right? Anything that we do in a packet.
Mhm.
Do we want to, I was wondering if we should rethink the thought of if we are looking at documents in a meeting, if for the benefit of those who utilize the remote, if we shouldn't be actively putting them up on the meeting. It was a recommendation that was presented to me. We decided not to confirm doing that. But in having that follow-up conversation again, I was rethinking it, wondered if there'd be any reconsideration for wanting to think about whenever we have a document, assuming it's a document that is appropriate, because there might be some documents that are a little more confidential in nature. There may be something of legal nature that we wouldn't do that with, but general documents that would be available to the public, so that when we're viewing them, they're up on the camera to be looked at, so that anybody who then chimes into the meeting afterwards, as some people do, I know we say we're going to attach them to the agenda, but then they can see them up on there in real time while they're listening to the meeting. So I just throw that out there.
So in other words, by putting the documents, presenting them as the meeting is going on, when someone were to go to the video, they would also be able to see the documents, because if the documents are recorded along with us.
Mhm.
How complicated is it to do that?
Nothing's complicated at all.
I mean, they're provided in the agenda and the person, they're there on the agenda.
Would it be earth shattering to do?
No, it's just a matter of me clicking through documents as they were discussing, me, else was clicking in, on, taking it off, putting it on, taking it off.
Okay,
I mean-
right now, we're not providing any documents.
And we don't have anybody right now either to hear.
Right. So the beginning of the discussion was to make sure that we include the documents when
The
we
agenda.
post the agenda.
Correct,
So they would be accessible
yes.
through the town clerk's website. Okay. Why don't we start there?
Okay.
Let's kind of build into this, because we're obviously not trying to not allow the public to see what's going on by any means. But I think we should kind of work into it.
Yeah,
Let's give it some time. Let's kind of make an evolution out of it. Just so that we kind of perfect one step at a time, just like we talked about, sort of footnoting some of our items so that you could look back and refer to the document. Or when we talked about our regulations and any changes, again, footnoting the effective date. So it's kind of an evolution. So I think I'd like to start first by making sure that all the attachments are included online with the agenda.
Mhm.
And then see how that goes. And get that into our practice and get comfortable with it. And then turn the page to the next.
Turn the page, the classic. And speaking of a footnoting, I still have to connect with Jack and get to that discussion we had probably, 4 months ago, and we talked about formatting all our documents the same. So that's something else. Haven't done yet, so that's on me.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right, a couple quick things. Looks like the flu cases are on track to be the worst in the last 10 or 15 years. 13,000 deaths, unfortunately. The story I saw, the doctor that presented it pretty much feels as though people have reached a level of vaccine fatigue, which is very understandable. But we may be paying the price on the flu side. The other thing I saw, and I don't know if people want to hear from an animal inspector, but the bird flu.
Yeah,
Obviously, we're seeing it at the supermarket with the cost of eggs
Mhm.
because of all the poultry that has to be destroyed.
Right.
I saw a story today out of Townsend, Mass.
Yeah.
Bald eagle that had to be put down,
Oh, no, kidding.
had bird flu.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
So it's out here in these rural areas. My question for the animal inspector would be, is there anything that we need to advise our local,
Bird people.
with the chicken coops as to what they might need to watch out for? So I don't know if we want to invite Danielle to give us her thoughts at our next meeting.
Well, even before that, I mean, to find out what she thinks, I mean,
Well,
because
she
our
may-
next meeting is a lot, there's a big space there. And this is really prevalent really now, I would say, you know.
All right, so we send her
need
an
to-
email and ask her
Yeah.
for her thoughts and suggestions.
Yeah.
And then if we decide that we want to talk to her at our next meeting, we can go that extra step. Everybody in
Sure.
agreement with that? I would hate to see one of our hobbyists run into a problem,
Right,
because they have found it dairy cattle, things like that. So, fortunately, it's
yeah, pretty prevalent.
something that,
Yeah,
you know,
we asked for some
Yeah.
guidance. I'll look at some guidance myself.
Do we have an active agricultural commission in our town right now? Do we know?
I didn't even think of them. Excuse me, you're right. Could probably reach out to someone like Pete.
He was one person. I don't,
they were kind of struggling for membership.
right. That's why I didn't know where they stood right now. So,
Family.
So you're talking about Peter Hawks, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he was, actively involved, but
Right.
you need a team to make that go.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, you can't be just on your own,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, well, I guess see if there is an active ad committee and we can reach out to them also. Excuse me, on that subject. Other than that, you've heard more than enough from me.
We like you.
All right. Thank you. Next meeting,
February 26th?
26.
Yes,
2/6, did you say?
2/26.
at 6.
Still 6?
No go, so, yeah, I'm guessing.
You're thinking about it already, though. Huh?
Well, yeah, we got an email, believe it or not, and I was, I replied back and I was like, oh my God, you kidding me about, from Vanderbuck about the food trucks.
Wow.
Yeah, starting in March.
And
next month.
and not only that, they're starting to notify their people, because my granddaughter, Emily, is
Oh,
there.
yeah, she said, see you next month, see you at the end of the month, the end of March. I was like,
Really?
Now opens up next month inside George's.
Yeah.
March 3rd?
Yeah, I just got it in the paper. Yeah, the newspaper.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
February's a short month, it'll
Yeah.
come quick.
They always open early, just,
So George's opens March third?
yeah.
I'm not sure the date, but sounds like very
I thought it was
They have
the
to.
3rd, the 5th, it was early.
early.
Right.
It's early.
It's in the newspaper,
Free press.
Have to, it's.
right. That's what I said today.
The only one last thing I'll mention before we adjourn
Are
is
you
only
sure?
because I feel very strongly that humor is highly connected to good health. We don't have anybody on, so
So you gonna tell a
unfortunately,
joke?
no, they're not gonna hear what I have to say because it probably won't get posted until after the
Watch it after.
event, but as well. I want everyone to be aware that on Sunday, 8 PM, SNL 50. Saturday Night Live,
Really?
50th
That's
anniversary.
right.
Oh, so it's, now say it again, what day? Sunday?
Sunday, 8 PM.
Wow.
It's SNL's 50th anniversary.
Holy,
And I remember when it started.
me
I
too.
was 14.
Yeah, well, I was older.
I was 12.
You were
I
12?
go, yeah,
I was just a youngin'.
Wow.
yeah.
Yep. So,
Can I hand
Anyway.
that to my boyfriend?
Absolutely.
Oh, I
Thank
still
you,
want
sir.
this pens too.
All right, so we need a motion.
I move that we adjourn this meeting.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Joyce, aye.
Al and I thank you all very much.
Thank you all. Good night. Stay warm.